I want to go over this setup I was showing yesterday and give you a little preview of an additional item I'm going to have released to the group. I'm just going to call it the Grid Cloud. It will have 3 modes. This is mode 1. You'll have up to 3 modes. This is the most responsive mode, so that would be mode 1. You'll have something that's moderately responsive and then something that's less responsive. So you can use it in different configurations, and I'll show one of them right now. So one really simple mechanical based setup is to use a combination of several indicators. In this case, I put the NinjaTrader's platform swing indicator up just so I can kind of see, more, I guess you could say more obvious levels, so I don't have to be drawing them on the specific chart that I'm working with. And I do have the Grid MA running and the Grid Cloud. Okay, so let me pull this drawing off of here. So let me go into the first indicator I have on here, the Grid MA. I have that for this particular chart set at 9 2.7. So that's Grid MA. And we are on a 88 Grid Renko. Anything for this, this is kind of a higher time frame look of things. So 75, 80, 85 up to 90 is workable. For me, 88 works just fine. I could be on 85, I could be on 90, but I like 88. I have my reasons why I'm on this particular time frame. And what I do is I have the Grid MA set, then I have the Grid Cloud set. Let me click on it to get it to pull up. And right here, there is arrows on where the indicator is changing back and forth from one color to the other. I have those clicked off. I don't need to see those. There they are. You can have those on or off. You can set the offset, the coloring. The color region is the shading and the opacity. So you can set that however you want. Custom colors, that's not utilized for what I'm working with here. And then to set the actual thickness of the outline of the cloud indicator, so let's hit apply, get rid of those arrows. Let's get in here. And you can see I have it set to a thickness of 4. So if I went in and put a 0 there, or a 1, let's go, actually let's leave this a 4. So both the reds and the greens are set to a 4. Let's go in and set transparent. I just want to show you what happens to the cloud, just so you know the options you have. Okay, let's go into transparent, and you can get rid of the border portion of the indicator if you want. Okay, that's supposed to get rid of the border. Let me go back in here and fix that real quick. Okay, let's go in here. Let's go back to plots, trigger. Oh, you know what? We need to change that because we have it hard coded. Never mind. So I'm going to have it so you can, in the final or in the version that you're going to use, I'm going to hard code this so you can go in and actually get rid of the border if you just want to see the cloud portion. Does that make sense? Now I could go down to like a 1 and a 1. Go to a 1 and a 1, hit apply, and it minimizes that. So we have it hard coded so it has to be on, but I'll change that so you could basically get rid of the border if you wanted to. Some of the reason we have it hard coded is the border and where it crosses is key in where the arrows are controlled from, but it doesn't make any difference. We can still have the ability so you don't see it. So at least if you set it to, let's say 1 in transparent, you won't see the border shading at all, if that makes sense. Okay, let's go here. You could even minimize it a bit more and go from solid to dot. And that would really, in a sense, it would basically for the most part, get rid of the shading. So actually, maybe we'll just leave that alone. We'll leave it as is. That's not really all that important to spend a bunch of time on. So I can achieve the same basic look if I just want to see the main part of the cloud. And I could, I could brighten that up if I wanted to. I could go up to about a 50. Let's go up to a 50, hit apply, and so on. So you can brighten it up. Okay, I'm going to go back to 30. I'm going to go back here and add the border back in. So we'll go 4 there, 4 there. And here I'll go red. Let's go back to red. And on this one, I'm going to go with like a regular green color. In the end, you can set the colors, whatever works for you. Actually, let's go with the forest green and hit apply. Now it's set as dots, so I'm going to change this back to solid and solid and apply. And there we go. And then the setting in this is hard coded for the responsiveness, but we're adding modes. So this section will basically, for the most part, likely be pulled out. And then we'll have set in here the, basically it'll be mode 1 will be super responsive, mode 2 less responsive, mode 3. That way you don't have to figure out what kind of settings to use. So currently set at what the most responsive of settings would be. So what I'm looking for is when I combine the two indicators, I like price to be somewhat subdued in the background. And what I'm looking for is nice, very prominent crosses of the cloud up through the MA. That little pattern right there. So this is an indicator pattern. See how both lines of the cloud cross this flat spot on the MA and are inside price and the dotted line of the grid MA? The more it looks like that, a very clean push through with both lines. Here, see how it's encased around the line? Now, if I see a W pattern and I see lift, as long as I have green on aqua, I can still enter the trade, but this is the pattern that is typically in a market of higher momentum away from the pivot area price. So this is getting some momentum building, and you can see there's some back and forth, and then the momentum picks up. This is momentum right away from that pivot, momentum right away from the pivot. And what I'm looking for, I'm looking for stair-stepping higher price, stair-stepping lower price, M's, W's, and so on. Okay, let's look at a few more examples. Let's clean that off of here. And let me grab another day so we can look at another day worth of trading. So again, here's the pattern. Price is lifting away from its recent pivot. Both portions of the cloud indicator are closing above the step portion, and your entry is in here, stop never more than most recent pivot. Now that's one way, these very clean breaks, type of look to things. It's very easy to see, how clean that is. You can use it for trend following. So if you're in uptrends, you're getting any engagement of price with the grid MA and lift back to green. Those can be used as trend following pickup points. It can be used for that. See a W pattern and lift and you go green. Of course, you can engage on that. Anytime green is on or over, and I should say at least some portion of the indicator is above the grid MA, which is cyan here, you're in long territory. Anytime any portion of the indicator of the cloud is below the grid MA, you're in short territory. And then those clean setups are what I'm always looking for. And the wider that is, the cloud portion of the indicator going below the grid MA for a short or going above the grid MA for a long, the wider it is, the more likelihood you're in a higher momentum push away from that most recent pivot. So big, big lift here. Rally, clean look to the rally and the engagement alongside. Pull back lift, you go green, quick scalp long. Pull back, you have a little red, go back to green, quick scalp long. Nice clean break here. The level sweep, short, kick back, downtrend, short. Now remember, these kickback and downtrends, not like you're going for 100 points. You know, you're doing scalping operations. Here's another clean break of the indicator and so on. Here's a decent break. The indicator is a little bit narrow as it's crossing up through the grid MA, but that's okay. You know, it's inside of the grid MA and price. That's the key. So anyhow, I'm going to get this cloud indicator kind of prettied up, just adjust a few settings and put that in your arsenal too. There's going to be some transformational changes to the program ahead. We got lots of big changes. I even moved off of my NT8 programmer that's lately just been inundated with other people's projects while he's trying to wrap up my stuff. I moved everything over to a brand new programmer that I found to get stuff done quicker. I'm going to use my main programmer from the past to use for building brand new stuff out of the box. That's kind of his forte anyhow. And I want to really accelerate all this stuff that I have waiting to get out. Now, another thing, even on that day that was like super choppy, I think it was a Friday, when you get clean breaks, even in the most choppiest of market conditions, there's still some meat on the bones on the price action. And I do like setups that are as close to the pivot as possible. So when I get a setup where the pivot's here and then I get my break that's pretty far away, I do pay attention to that. I tend to not engage with a move like that. That's a little bit too far away from the most recent price pivot, unless there was just like some gigantic level sweep that just took place. Now here we had a levels test of a recent level, an area of resistance, and then we get the clean break. And that was, you know, close enough to the pivot. This one's getting a little bit far away. But I like, you know, just a bunch of oscillations, some W patterns, and then see how the two indicators are blended together. That's okay. These breaks are the one I like the best. They're very clean to see the pattern of the indicator. You know, the indicator pattern between the interaction of the grid MA and the actual grid cloud. So anyhow, this is on a fairly high time frame chart. You can go find these setups on lower time frame chart. In that case, you'd probably move maybe off the most responsive setting on the grid cloud and go to maybe position 2 and so on. But it's just another way, because I've had lots of requests for, hey, how can I use the tools to trade simple mechanical setups? Because I'm doing that on some accounts where I'm trying to go for more than just like 710 a day in a 700 or on a 150K account. I want to mix in some manual discretionary trading, talking out trade activity to other accounts. Well, these are the type of things. I've been putting out lots of videos on many different ways of mechanical setups that I know of and have kind of put together over the months, years, for, you know, trading, you know, these W patterns, M patterns, higher pivot lows, lower pivot highs. So anyhow, we have the market pulled back. Look how long it took them to go close that gap yesterday. I think in one of the morning videos I put out, we're going to close the gap at some point. And my gosh, what a waste of time that was. They should have ran it right here, closed the gap. But it looks like what had happened is we just lost institutional participation in this whole area price. There was just very minimal. It's almost like they, once the market came down after a few of these pushes, they disappeared. And then this is what the markets look like when it's all medium-sized and smaller players back and forth. They're not big enough to push the market down significantly. They're definitely not capable of lifting the markets. So there you have it. We're getting ready for the U.S. cash session open. Just wanted to put this out for the group. More goodies on the way, and I have another update and some additional videos that